Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I have my August wrap up. I believe I read 12 books in August. Not the most books I've ever read, but we'll get into it in a second, okay? First, I just wanted to start off with some like quick channel maintenance things. I don't know what is this classified as. I don't know, but hi, if you didn't know, I've said this 1,000 times. I don't like repeating myself, but I'm repeating myself in case you're new here. I'm getting surgery on September 19th for my endometriosis, and I'm going out of state. So I just wanted to update you guys that this will be like the last video I'm posting like in present day. I have a bunch of videos pre-filmed for the next few weeks. So pretty much everything from here until I think I have like 5 or 6 videos pre-filmed. So like beginning to mid-October, I'm assuming is when I will probably be back, when I'll be like feeling okay. It depends. If I'm feeling okay after surgery and I'm bored and I want to film videos, like I might be back sooner, posting like twice a week, but I'm not pushing it. That's why I have some videos pre-filmed to just get up there probably once a week, every Friday. So that is just like my channel maintenance, I guess, that I just wanted to mention. So yeah, if you're like requesting videos or anything like that, I'm just getting up whatever I have pre-filmed. There will be no vlogs for the next, well, September at least. And then I don't know if I'm feeling like bored in October, because I'm gonna be home from work all October. If I'm bored and I want to just like film a 24-hour vlog or something again, I will definitely do that. But yeah, we'll kind of see. Everything's up in the air for right now. Anxiety has been through the roof. I read 12 books in August, which is like good, but it's not my norm, you know? And that's because a lot was going on in August with just a lot of anxiety and depression, and just mental health wise was trash. And now I'm like super anxious again. So yeah, I mean, my mental health being trash is nothing new, but like August can get fucked. Like, good riddance, August, okay? Another turning point, a fork stuck in the road. Time grabs you by the wrist, directs you where to go. That was my Green Day impression. I sound just like Billy Armstrong. Thank you. I know. Okay, I need my phone. I'm stressed. Okay. So like I said, I read 12 books in August, and most of them were extreme horror. And I did not plan this, okay? Like, I wanted an even balance of extreme horror to thrillers, etc. And I tried for that, but I just now entered my thriller era and the month is over. I don't know what happened. Well, I do know what happened, but we're not gonna talk about it. I'm so stressed. I'm sorry. I read like 2 thrillers, 2 contemporaries, and then the rest were extreme horror. And like I said, the time just slipped away from me. I wanted a good mixture of things, but a lot of these books were in my vlog that I posted. I posted an extreme horror vlog with like 6 of these books. So we're just, I don't know. I'm just going to talk and just see where the day takes me. I don't know. If you're new to my wrap-ups, how I do them is I start with the books that I like the least, and then I work my way up to the books I liked the most. So we start with rants and then we end on raves. So without further ado, let's get into my 1-star book of the month. Oh my gosh. Ruth, I'm so sorry. Ruth, I know you're watching this and you're gonna kill me because this was a Ruth recommendation. And it's Are You Happy Now by Hannah Jameson. This is just a general fiction, like contemporary literary style book, which isn't something that I typically read, but I do find ones that I really enjoy often. And this one sounded like one that I would really enjoy because it's about depression. So you're following these 4 people, and basically in the beginning of the book they're like at a wedding, they're like guests at a wedding, and someone just sits down and doesn't get back up, and she goes like catatonic, and she gets taken to the hospital, and next thing you know, like all these people are suddenly just going catatonic and being hospitalized and dying, and no one knows what's going on. So there's like this whole, it was after the pandemic, and now there's like this new thing that's going on, and they don't know, like, is it an illness, a virus, is it depression, is it like, what is it? And then you're just following these 4 people and like kind of just their day-to-day lives, navigating this world and this craziness and their own like issues and mental health problems. And this sounded like it was gonna be good. Like, it just sounded like it was going to keep me intrigued. And at first I really was into this because I wanted to know what was going on with these people in the hospital, so much, such and whatever. Unfortunately, this just drug on and on and on and on and on and on and on. It's about depression because it makes you want to die when you're reading it. Like, I mean, this is chunky. This is 400 pages almost, and it's just like about nothing. And I kept like reading because I really wanted to know what was going on, but like you don't really find out what's going on. And then everything, it got to the point where at the end I just didn't even care. I was skimming because you're just getting chapters and chapters and chapters about these like people just living their day-to-day lives. Like, oh, I went to the market. Oh, I'm so depressed today. Oh, like it was just, ugh. I just didn't care about any of these characters, and the thing that really got me mad is that it reminds me of a Sally Rooney book, and if you know me, I have like ranted about her books before on this channel. Like, I just can't, I can't stand reading books about absolutely nothing. Like, I mean, yes, this does have like an overall theme and plot and point, but like, oh my god, the things that you have to read, like, is just boring. Boring. Like, relationship problems, going to the market, getting like, oh, I'm a DJ, I have to go to work. Like, I can't stand reading books like this. I can't stand it. The next time I'm about to pick up a book that's about absolutely nothing, can someone please stop me? Please. Just tell me, like, Meg, what are you doing? I don't care that you think that you're going to be obsessed with this book. Like, we know you and it's not going to work. Okay, I need someone to just tell me that from now on, because, oh my god, like I said, there are certain like contemporary style books that I absolutely am obsessed with. Like Adelaide, for example, like one of my favorite books of all time. This one was just a miss for me, and it makes me sad because I thought I was going to love it, but I'm getting myself worked up. Next, moving into 2-star books. Another book that's basically the same. I have Writers and Lovers by Lily King. This is another book about absolutely nothing. Like, absolutely nothing. Actually, this one is more about nothing than the previous book that I just mentioned. However, this one, the writing was better, and there were some points that, like, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with this. Like, this sounds just like me. So that's why I gave it 2 stars. But this is about this woman who is struck with grief after her mother passes away. And she is 30, I believe, and she moves to this like new town. And she's in between like these 2 guys. Like, there's like this 40-some-year-old guy that she's interested in, and then there's like a guy her own age that she's interested in, and like she's kind of stuck in between these 2 people, and she's working at this like shitty waitressing job, and it's just like miserable and hating her life and like navigating health issues. And so part of this was like, oh my god, me, relatable, right? Like, I'm 30 and hate my jobs, and like, what am I doing with my life? I have medical problems, you know what I mean? So I was like, oh, this probably is going to be so relatable. But like, no, this was so bad. But like I said, the writing was decent. There were certain points where I was like, oh, that's really relatable. Like, I was tearing up at certain points because it was so relatable. And like, my mom also passed away. So like, there were some things that were just heavy hitting for me in this book. However, this book was about absolutely nothing. Like, I'm talking chapters and chapters and chapters of her having writer's block because she's a writer, and then her like waitressing and getting harassed by her coworkers, and like, okay, but I mean, chapters and chapters and chapters and chapters of like waitressing and having writer's block. This book is about absolutely nothing. I'm another one that I'm getting angry thinking about. And then like these two guys that she was like, I was like, girl, just tell both of them, like, please just move on because this is ridiculous. Okay, like these guys were a mess. But anyways, and my next 2-star book, which this actually kills me. Like, this actually hurts my heart that I have to sit here and do this. This is like the bad part about reviewing, that like, it hurts. It hurts a lot because this is my favorite author. Okay, I'm just gonna do it. So I got an arc on NetGalley of That Night in the Woods by Christopher Triana, and I read it and I gave it 2 stars. I know. This is like my favorite person, right? Like, this is how you know I'm honest, because I'm like sweating right now. So this book is a general horror book, and we are following this group of friends, well, this group of people, and basically they all individually get this invitation from their old friend Steven. There's a Scott and a Steven, whatever, one of them invites them all to his place because he lets them know that their friend from when they were younger passed away. So they're like all in their 40s now, and I think they were teenagers at the time that they were all friends, and we start learning that something happened when they were teenagers in this woods. It's called like the Suicide Woods, and something happened there, something sinister happened, and basically their friend group broke up. They never spoke about it again, and they all went their separate ways, and that's that. So now they're in their 40s and they're kind of getting back together after their friend passes away. So you start learning what happened to them. And the thing that drove me nuts about this book were the characters. It's very slow, so it's almost 400 pages, and it is very, 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 very slow because you're getting chapter after chapter after chapter of each of these characters and their lives and who they had a crush on when they were younger and who they have a crush on now and what they're doing with their lives and how their divorce happened. Like, oh my gosh. And this is just like person after person after person. So it was a lot. Like, it was too much. And I'm someone that likes character development, and it was just too much for me because even though these things were so detailed, it still was, like, I still don't feel like the characters were fully fleshed out in a way because I was still getting them mixed up, even though we got to learn so much detail about their lives, which was like just too much. And then once we got into some of the horror aspects, I began, you know, my interest started peaking. But then once we find out what was happening, it was like I would get interested, and then suddenly we start learning about the character's life, and oh, well, I really have a crush on this person now, but like I'm 40 and ugly or whatever. I was just like, what is happening? And then it was just like a thing after thing after thing. And then it would get back into the horror elements, and then we're like back into this character, just like obsessing over her body or whatever. I don't even know what the thing was, but it was just a lot of that back and forth where the pacing was off. And then the actual horror elements, like what was actually happening, the type of horror that it wasn't exactly my thing. But I know other people will absolutely love that aspect of this book. I think a lot of people are going to love the horror aspects. It just wasn't something that I'm a huge fan of, and I don't want to say what it is because it's going to spoil so much of the book. But yeah, it is general horror. Like I said, it's not extreme horror, but it was just too much for me, like too long and too much with the characters. But this actually kills me because I'm obsessed with Christopher Triana. Christopher Triana, I love you, okay? But yeah, this is unfortunately my least favorite, Christopher Triana, but it does come out in October if you're interested. Like I said, people are going to like this book. People are liking this book. I'm seeing 4-star reviews on Goodreads so far, you know, but for me, I just wasn't a huge fan. Next, getting into some 3-star books. The first one, so I have 2 extreme horror books that I read in my vlog that is up. I'll leave it linked, okay? So like I always say, 3 stars and up, I recommend. 3 stars is like, I liked it at the time that I was reading it. I had fun, but like it was okay. Like it didn't have a lasting impact on me, you know? So my first 3-star was Sardines in the Dark by Judith Sonnet. This is just like a fun little gory game of hide and seek. So you're just following these kids. They're at this like camp, this like church camp. And these kids, they're all like sitting around the campfire, and there's this new kid that joins the camp, and it's this girl, and she's like, hey guys, I'm an atheist. And ever since she shows up, some weird things have been happening around the camp, because she suggests that they play this game called Sardines, and it's this game where it's kind of like hide and seek. Like a bunch of people hide, and then if you find them, they have to join you, and you keep going till like only one person is left. So they play this game, and of course it goes wrong, and some sinister goriness happens. It's extreme horror. It was fun while I read it. You know, it was just very quick, fun, easy little novella, and then that was it. Like I didn't have a super strong feeling about it, a super strong emotion. It didn't like stick with me or anything like that. So I ended up giving it 3 stars. I would recommend it if you're just looking for a quick, gory book. And then the other 3-star book I had was The Ballad of Harley Heck by Stuart Bray. This one is a splatter western, if I could speak. And this one, this one is about this outlaw named Harley Heck, and he is basically on death row. Like he is going to be hanged, and he is telling the sheriff like all the messed up, crazy crap that he's done throughout his life. This is extreme horror. It's just very brutal and disturbing. Triggers for everything imaginable. I was like, there were certain points, there were some animal cruelty scenes that I like wanted to die reading. Yeah, this is really messed up. So this is very similar to Violence on the Meek, where it's like you're just getting his story and just all the messed up, depraved things that he's done. But this one is a little more like just brutal. Just like brutal for the sake of being brutal. I don't know how to explain it, where I feel like Violence on the Meek, the first and the second book, they did have a little bit of humor to them, and those characters were disgusting and horrible, but I liked them a little bit more than I liked this character. I don't know, I liked this book. I would recommend it if you're just looking for something just brutal and disgusting for the sake of brutal and disgusting from like start to finish. I think if you liked Violence on the Meek, you would like this one, but I did want something a little more, with like a little more plot or like storyline, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I liked this one. It just didn't give me like a long-lasting impact like some of his other books have. So I ended up giving it 3 stars. Am I making sense? Am I making sense? Am I making sense? Okay. Oh, I did have one more 3-star book, and it's the new Shari LaPena. It is Everyone Here is Lying. Is that the name of it? Everyone Here is Lying. Yeah, so this one is about this girl who goes missing. So we have this couple, this married couple, and the husband is having an affair with this other married woman. Anyways, the one day he gets into this fight with his daughter. I think his daughter's like 9, 10, I don't know. And he slaps her, and she runs away from home, and she goes missing. So now we have this like missing girl case, and the husband is like, oh crap, like I don't want to tell anyone that I was having an affair and I hit her and this and that, because then they're going to like put the blame on me and I'm going to be the lead suspect, so on and so forth. So he's having like oh crap moment, and we are following the perspective of him and his wife, and then also the woman that he was having an affair with and her husband, and they have children. So you're kind of getting everyone's POV flipping back and forth like a typical Shari LaPena book. That's basically the gist. So we have this missing girl and you're just trying to figure out what happened to her. So that is that. It did remind me of a very, very popular thriller, and I didn't see it coming until the end, and I was like, oh, that's pretty much just like this other book. But yeah, it was entertaining. It didn't quite hit the same as like her other books. It was a little bit slower. It was, I don't know, it was good, but once the stuff started being revealed, it was kind of a little bit underwhelming, I guess. And I don't know. The ending. Also, I listened to it on audio, and like this woman was trying to do the voice of a 9-year-old. It was just like really bizarre. Okay, I mean, I typically really enjoy her books, so I just feel like this one wasn't as like twisty and thrilling as the other ones, but I still liked it and I would still recommend it. And then moving on into 4-star books. Yes. So first I have another Judith sonnet here. I have Beast of Burden. This is her brand new one that just came out. And this one, I love this. So we have these guys that are in a metal band. I'm a huge metal fan. So once she like posted about this, I knew I had to run online and buy it because it just sounded so up my alley. So we're following these guys. They just graduated from high school, so they're like young adults and they don't kind of know like where their lives are gonna go and what's going on, and they're just in this band and they're trying to make it as a band. And yeah, it kind of reminded me of the movie Deathgasm. Like, it just gave me that sort of vibe with like the guys, and they're all friends and they're like doing, you know, band practice in the garage, and they're just kind of like, I don't know where life is going to take me, but like, let's try to make it as a band. And then one day the bassist quits and he's like, I'm getting a real job, peace out. And they're kind of like, oh shit. So it's like this coming of age story, and the parts of this book that I loved were the beginning parts where it was just like about nothing, and you're just getting character development and following this band and just like their day-to-day lives, and like you're getting to know their parents, and I just loved these characters. I loved this. And then basically there's this, they decide to go get this guy who's a photographer, and they're going to go to these caves. There's like a forest with caves, and they're going to have this photo shoot and try to like get their band poppin'. I don't know. Okay, so obviously something goes wrong. There's something going on with these caves. The horror elements in it weren't like typically my favorite, but there were some things that happened that actually made me upset. Like, because I was so invested in these characters, like what happens, I was like, I felt depressed when I finished this book. I was like, but like in a good way. I was like, wait, I actually felt that strongly about some of these people. And then of course, like the author notes always choke me up at the end. The end of the book, what the hell is it called? The epilogue was like, the epilogue is what got me upset. But this was just so well done. I loved the whole metal aspect and the references, and highly recommend. It's not like the most super extreme horror of hers, but there are some like, you know, there's some gore and violence that happens at the end, but I highly recommend this one. Then another 4-star book that I had was Merciless by Brian Smith. This is a book, this is about these two psychos. They are recently married newlyweds, and they're obsessed with true crime and so on and so forth, and they decide that they want to know what it's like to kill for real. So they decide on their honeymoon they are going to just like kidnap a stranger and kill them. But something goes wrong, and this is wild. This kind of reminds me of the movie funny games a little bit. Like it kind of gives a home invasion sort of feel. There's a lot of extreme horrorness that goes on in this book. It is wild. The woman in the book, Lindsay, the wife, I was obsessed with her. She is so psycho. She kind of reminds me of Kim from Full Brutal. Like that was the vibe that I was getting. Absolutely obsessed with this book until the ending. It didn't quite hit for me, but I highly, highly recommend. The writing is great and I can't wait to read more from Brian Smith. Like honestly, I'm kind of a fangirl. Like I need to read more from him. I think I own 2 more books from him physically, but I need them all. Like I need to read more. Like this was so good. Then my next 4-star, Zola by D.E. McCluskey. McCluskey, yeah. This is disgusting. Like this is so fucking nasty, like so gross for the sake of being gross. I can't, like, I'm like kind of obsessed with this. Like this is the kind of unhinged shit that I get obsessed with, and I'm like that Aubrey Plaza reel that's going around where she's like, let's get into some garbage. Like that's literally me. So this is about cheese, but like not in the sense that you're thinking. This is about this guy or this woman who's married to this guy who's super, super abusive, and they have a child together, and he's like super abusive with the son, and the mom just starts eating cheese as a way to like cope with her trauma. And I don't even know what to say. Something happens and you're just kind of following this mother and her son throughout their lives, like throughout years go by. Like you just learn about them and what they've been doing and the questionable things that they've been doing, and holy shit, what the hell? What the hell is this? I'm kind of like obsessed, and I thought that this was gonna be like crappy writing. Like I was like, oh, this is probably gonna suck so bad. No. It didn't. Like the writing was not bad. It was really good. I'm obsessed. I'm kind of obsessed with how unhinged this was. Like I'm gonna have to read more from him, but I highly, highly recommend. Then I had 3 5-star books. So the first is a reread of No One Rides for Free by Judith Sonnet. Absolutely love this book. This is an extreme, extreme, extreme horror book where this mom is on a road trip with her 2 kids, taking them to college, and a man, stranger, makes his way into the car, and next thing you know, they are trapped in the car with this stranger who is a psycho, and things go crazy. Things get disgusting very quick. Things get graphic very quick. It is wild. It is a wild time. It is brutal, disgusting. It is supposed to make you sick. Like it's supposed to be fucked up, okay? And her writing, fantastic. Just the way that she explains like trauma and I just am obsessed with this book. It is so depraved, so nuts, so offensive, and I am living for it. Like the first time I read this book, I was sweating. Like I actually was sweating. I just hit myself in the face. And I just reread this. The audio is fantastic, by the way. This is a limited edition hardcover, which you can't get anymore. So sorry, sucks to suck. But I mean, I read it the second time and I was like, oh my God. Like certain scenes, I was like, I can't believe she did that. Like I can't believe she put that in a book, but she did. It is unhinged. It is completely unhinged, and I'm living for it. Next, another 5-star book was The Warrior Retreat by John Lynch. This book took me by surprise, okay? I didn't know what to expect. This is like military extreme horror. So we are following this group of guys that are in the Marines. And the first part of the book, sorry, my ear is itchy. The first part of the book, we are following these guys, and you know, they're actually in the war, and you follow everything that's going on, and something tragic happens, and then in part 2 of the book, they are home. It's been like 5 years and they're home, and you're just kind of following each one and how they're coping with like their mental and physical disabilities after the fact. And then in part 3, one of the guys gets them together for a retreat, and they all like agree to meet up and get together. So that's this book. My eye is twitching, my ear is itching. What is happening to me right now? Oh my God. The first part of the book, I was into it. I was curious to see where this was gonna go. The second part of the book, it was very slow and it did kind of drag out a little bit. So I was like, I'm not sure what is going on. Like, where is this gonna go? Part 3 gave me a freaking panic attack. I swear this book gave me a panic attack. I couldn't breathe. Like, I was up panicking all night long because this book gave me so many feelings. I was so sad and so upset, but like I was so anxious. I can't even explain this. So basically we are following, you know, what it's like, you know, this book really dives into PTSD and what it's like when you are serving and what it's like for them getting out of war. And it's just really heavy hitting, like a deep emotional aspect to this book. And I really just like the way that he made this an extreme horror. And he took, you know, he's a veteran who was in the Marines, and so he took his real life knowledge and based a bunch of characters on like his friends and, you know, the certain coping mechanisms that these characters were using, his friends used in real life. And like, it was just like so, I guess, based on reality. And then what ends up happening was just like sad and fucked up. And I was just like, it just took this to a whole other level of meaning and depth, and I'm obsessed. I loved the writing. I absolutely loved everything about this book. I honestly cannot praise this book enough. I love it. Like, you know, I love trash. Like, I love just like, give me some like disgusting cheese books, but also when an extreme horror brings like depth and meaning and feelings and emotions and something other than just gross for the sake of being gross, it's a slay for me, okay? This book is a slay. It's my word of the day. I'm like an old person that's like trying to be young, but no, I highly recommend this book if you're looking for something with a great mental health wrap. I recently added John Lynch to the list of authors that I'm like obsessed with. So if I read something from him and I don't like it, I'm going to die, I guess. Like first Christopher and now this, like this is a betrayal on levels that I've never seen, okay? And the last 5-star and the last book that I read, the book that I just finished 2 days ago, is The Night Swim by Megan Golden. This is a thriller that took me really long to read because I assumed that I was gonna hate it, and here it's like one of my favorite books of the year. So this is this thriller where we have a podcaster. I know, the podcaster, the podcast element. No, I think this is one of the first thrillers that had a podcast element, but Rachel is a true crime podcaster, and she is making a series on this rape trial that is currently going on, where this like golden boy was accused of raping this girl, and everyone's like, oh well, he couldn't do it because he was like, you know, good in school and popular, and he's like an Olympic swimmer. And it just goes so in depth as to like rape culture and how it's like the one crime where it makes you question if the guy actually did it. But like if a guy murders a woman, it's like obviously he did it. But if it's like, oh, this guy raped this girl, it's, oh well, did he actually do it though? Such great commentary. So you're following that going on, and then at the same time Rachel is getting these letters from this girl named Hannah who is following her around, and she's like, how do you know who I am? Because like people don't know what she looks like. So she's like, why is this person like leaving me these suspicious letters in a hotel? But these letters basically explain that 25 years ago her sister Jenny something happened to her. And so she's asking Rachel for her help, like, hey, can you help me, like, find who did this to my sister? So you're following these two stories back and forth. So you get the letters from Hannah, and then you're also following present day, what's going on, and you're getting this podcast element where you're following the episodes in the podcast as well. It is more of a slow burn mystery. It has like a legal aspect to it because you're getting like courtroom scenes, but it is so good. Like I said, the commentary really like sold me on this one. The writing was great. I loved like the little different elements and the way that the stories kind of ended up coming together. I loved everything about this book. I highly, highly, highly recommend if you're looking for like a slower burn sort of thriller. If you like legal shit, I don't know. This was so good. So good. I just love what ended up happening. The ending, everything was on point for this book. So it gets a very well-deserved 5 stars from me. So that is it. Those were the 12 books that I read in August. If you read any of these and liked them, let me know in the comments down below. Let me know what your favorite book you read this month was, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.